we were answering the question, why is aggregate supply upward sloping? And we said the answer should be aggregate supply, that is firms' production behavior, will only be a function of aggregate prices if the price level does something to real profits. Okay? And we said if the price of everything is changing together, then nothing is happening to real profits. Did we agree on this? Yes. Good. Then we said, well, it has to be the case. In that world, aggregate supply is vertical. Okay? If aggregate supply is going to be just upward sloping, but not vertical, then I'm telling you that when the price level increases, when the prices of all of the goods and services that we produce increase, okay, somehow firms earn more real profits. And the question was, but why is that? Isn't the price of everything increasing? Okay. What we said was, well, there's at least one thing that goes in the production process that is not in the consumption basket directly. Wages. The model that we're working on, the Keynesian model, okay? Most of the dynamics are based on what is called wage stickiness. Sticky means it sticks. It doesn't move around much. It doesn't move around quickly. Okay? It says when there's inflation, wages don't increase with inflation as fast. Does this make sense? Yes. I could tell you that it makes a lot of sense. Okay? Why is it? Because usually labor relations are long-term relations, right? It's not that I go to work every day and say, you know, I'd like to work. What is the wage? Well, at that wage, I'm willing to work 3 hours. You pay me a little more. I could work 4 hours, right? That isn't how the world works. On the contrary, what happens is the university tells me that, well, look, this is your wage for this year. Okay? We're thinking about a world where wages are set by the hour. Okay? This helps to think. This is usually not the case in Turkey, but it helps to think that way. Okay? So think that what we're doing is the following. Say you're my employer. Okay? What are you producing? Okay, good one, but pick something else so that the price could change quickly. A good, not a service. What are we producing? You can do it. The Turkish consumption basket has 447 goods and services in it. Okay? What did you eat yesterday? Mantı. That's a good one to produce. Okay? We produce mantı. Can we do this? Yes. Can I do that? Yes. Thank you. I'm flattered by your faith in me. And I probably could, actually. I'm not totally incompetent in the kitchen. So he owns the place. Okay? Is he the person who is actually producing the Monte? Who is producing the Monte? I am. Okay? Why am I doing this? I mean, I like the guy, but that's usually not good enough a reason to spend hours and hours every day to produce Monte, right? Why am I doing this? Why am I producing the Monte? He pays me a wage. In general, that's why, right? Okay? Here's the agreement that we have. We agree that I am paid, say, 50 liras an hour. Okay? So I work on producing Monte for an hour. He pays me 50 liras. The agreement is that my labor for an hour is going to be compensated at 50 liras throughout 2010. Okay? This is my 2010 wage. How many hours do I work? I don't know. He tells me. Okay? He chooses the hours. We agree on the wage, then he chooses the hours. Okay? Let's say the price level is 1. What is my real wage? I earn 50 liras. The price level is 1. I divide 50 by 1, and it... Help me out here. Thank you. The real wage is 50. Okay? When the price level is 1, the real wage is 50. Say I work 5 hours a day. Okay? For whatever reason. Now, the price level increases to 2. What is my real wage now? Who said 100? My hourly wage is 50 liras. The price level is 2. What is my real wage? 25. Very good. Try to convince yourself of this. Okay? Bak kazanamazsın bunu. Now the question is the following. Is labor something that is of the same cost to you, more expensive for you, or cheaper for you? We're asking the employer. It's cheaper. If it's cheaper, are you going to use more of that? Yes. Okay? Let's ask the following question. If the price level increased to 2, what happened to the price of the Monte? Did it also increase? Yes. How do we know? The price level is the price of all of the goods and services that we consume, right? Do you consume Monte? Yes. You're Turkish. Okay? I doubt that Monte itself is an entry in the consumption basket, okay? But you understand that when there's inflation, when prices increase, Monte price also increases, okay? In fact, can the Monte price increase from one month to the other month? Can it double? Sure. We hope it wouldn't, but can it? Of course. Can my wage double? No. I have to wait until 2011. Okay? Now the price of the good you're selling has doubled. Okay? My wage hasn't changed. Yes, my wage hasn't changed. I haven't asked the question yet, but that is right. No, my wage hasn't changed. Okay? Are your profits higher? Would you let the entrepreneur answer the question? Are your profits higher?
Real profit, yes.
How about nominal profits?
It's also.
Yes, okay? Your nominal profits are higher. Your real profits are also higher. Okay? So producing each unit of Monte now earns you more real income. Right? Yes. Do you want to produce more? Yes. Aha. Here we have our answer. The price level increased, and the producer is saying, I want to produce more. Upward sloping aggregate supply curve. Do you see why this is working? It's all happening because of wage stickiness. Okay? Now, let's ask the following question. How many hours am I working now? I used to work 5 hours. Am I still working 5 hours? I'm working more. How do we know where I'm working more? Well, okay, that's the reason. But how do we know where I'm working more? Well, I'm producing more. I have to work to produce more. Okay? So now we're understanding some basic business cycle facts, right? That it says, in good times, output increases, employment also increases. Okay? Production increased, GDP increased, and my hours also increased. If I'm not going to work more hours, somebody else will. Okay? That's why these things move together. Good. Now we're going to think of a million refinements of this idea. But this is essentially it. Okay? This is the moment where we say, now you have all of the toolkit. Okay? Now we're going to talk about some very lovely applications of that toolkit. One of those questions is the following. Will my real wage remain at that low level? When 2011 comes and we are renegotiating my wage, will I say I'm willing to sign for 50 liras again? No. In fact, can you guess how much I'm going to want? 100. Why? Price level has doubled. Just to keep my old real income the same, I have to double my nominal wage. Do you agree? Yes.
But I don't hire him.
Ne halin varsa gör güzel kardeşim. So he says he's not going to be very happy with that. Why not? Abi arkadaş hemen bu konforador burjuvazi olayını kaptı, tamam mı? Böyle rolde uydu. When my wage increases, his real profits are decreasing. Okay? That's capitalism for you. Thus, he says, yep, I see that your wage should increase to 100, but I'm not going to be very happy with that. Fair. I could see that he's not going to be very happy either. But will he have to do this? Will I work, 10 hours a day for 50 liras an hour once my contract is over? Would anyone? No. Okay? Thus, sadly, you may fire me.
There are many unemployed people.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is the good. Let's think of the labor market. There's labor demand, there's labor supply. My labor supply is upward sloping. I'm willing to work more if I'm paid more. And he made it very clear that his labor demand is downward sloping. Right? As the wage increases, the real wage, as the real wage increases, okay, he's going to hire fewer and fewer people. He's going to use people for less and less hours. Okay? Is there an equilibrium here? Yes. Do we have unemployment at this equilibrium? This is a trick question. It's not a very good question. Okay? Let's assume that we're living in a world where there is no frictional unemployment and there's no structural unemployment. Okay? Now let me ask my question. If there is no frictional or structural unemployment, when the labor market clears, are we going to have any unemployment? Why? What does that mean? Hold on. Let's think of what this labor supply means. I ask you, okay? The wage is 10 liras an hour. Okay? How many hours do you want to work? 3. This is 3 hours. Are you working as much as you want to work? Yes. Given the wage, that's how much you want to work. Okay, where's unemployment? Ha. Okay, so there is no unemployment here. There will be unemployment, and surely there will be unemployment, but that unemployment is going to be frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. Now it's my turn to laugh, because he's about to go out of business. You know why? Because he doesn't know how to make money. He just owns the place. I do. Okay? Are there unemployed people? Yes, there are. Some of them are frictional unemployed. Frictionally unemployed means you don't know where these people are. Can you hire them if you don't know where they are? No. And then there are structurally unemployed people. Well, do structurally unemployed people know how to make money? No, very good. They wouldn't be structurally unemployed if they had marketable skills. Okay? There are the typewriter repairmen. And clearly he's very happy to have a ex-typewriter repairman prepare money for you. But that business is not going to last very long. Are you going to hire, will you be hiring me back?
We can do something.
We can do something. You're mumbling, but you have seen what is coming here, right? It will be 100. Because I will tell you that, look, 2 years ago, when the price level was 1, we agreed on the wage of 50. Okay? I'm not even asking for anything more, right? I'm just asking for the same purchasing power.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
If I can't find anyone and there is no unemployment, you said, how can you find a new job?
What?
So you have
You can't find anyone, there's no unemployment, how can I find a new job? Well, if there is no unemployment, I've already found a new job, right? Otherwise, I would be unemployed.
So I can find a new person.
No, these aren't the same thing, right? When I say everyone who wants to work are working, does this also mean all firms who want to hire people have hired people? Why should be this the same? If I say, you know, all girls who want boyfriends have boyfriends, does it also mean all boys who want girlfriends have girlfriends? I mean, I wish, but, right? When you have two-sided matching, when you're saying one side is matched completely, does it also mean that the other side is also matched completely? Only in equilibrium. Only in equilibrium. Okay? So can we be, say, here? There's a lot more labor demand than there's labor supply. Okay? Now the trick here is, if this is the case in the Keynesian model, okay, you are not here, you are here. Why is that? Remember the mechanism we talked about, okay? These are assumptions. And these don't exactly work this way in the world, right? But we said, we're going to choose the wage. Did we choose the wage? Yes, it's here. Say it's 5. Okay? Once we choose the wage, the firm decides how many hours I'm going to work. Will the firm tell me you're going to work A hours or B hours? B hours, right? Because the firm is on the labor demand, right? Am I happy? Am I, as the worker, happy? No. Why am I unhappy? Because somehow I thought at this wage I'd be working this much. Okay? This is where I want to be at this wage. Okay? I turned out to be working too much. This is me in 2010. I'm producing too much money at too low a wage. I don't want to be here. I want to be here. Okay? Next year, will I sign this contract again? No. Do you see this now? Okay? We're going to end up here. What is key is the following. Eventually, so this could be next year, this could be 2 years down the road, this could be 5 years down the road. right? But eventually, will my wage double? When the price level doubles, will my wage double eventually? Yes. Okay? When my wage doubles, what happens to your real profits? They decrease. Okay? They decrease from their increased level. Because remember, we started from some level, then the prices increased, your profits increased. Now your profits are decreasing because wages are increasing. Do we know where they're going to stop? What will your real profits be? Prices doubled. Now I'm telling you that eventually costs will also double, right? What will your real profits be? They're going to be the same. They're going to be exactly what you started out with, right? In 2009, your real profits were $1 million, okay, in real terms. In 2010, they increased to 2 million in real terms. Eventually, when my wage adjusts, they're going to go back to 1 million, the real profits. How do I know this? Because I'm telling you that in the end, revenues and costs are going to increase as much. When the price level doubles, my wage will eventually double. And therefore, the price increase in your revenues and your costs will be the same. If they increase at the same rate, what happens to your real profits? They stay the same. If your real profits stay the same, will you change the quantity you produce? No, no, no. How about you? If it's not earning you more purchasing power, you don't. What happens then? This is your aggregate supply, right? We agreed on this. So what is going on? What we're saying is, apparently, two different forces are at play in the short run, where in the short run, aggregate supply is upward sloping because wages are sticky. Are wages sticky forever? Does my wage never adjust? Eventually it adjusts. When it adjusts, are we still talking about wage stickiness? No, right? Because my wage has adjusted. It took time, right? In the short run, my real wage fell, but in the long run, it didn't change. So the long run aggregate supply is vertical. We're getting somewhere here. Okay? What we're saying is, when you're thinking about macroeconomic analysis, you should be careful in asking, what is the time horizon that I'm looking at? Right? Many things affect your short-run equilibrium. It's much harder to change your long-run equilibrium. This is the growth question. Okay? Let's ask the following question. Let's say the government increases spending. The government just says, I'm going to buy more potatoes. Okay? Will our production of potatoes increase? Yes. And we talked about the multiplier process, how it's going to increase, blah, 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 blah. Okay? But let me ask the following question now. Are we a different country? Do we have, more potato production technology? Do we have more people working on potato production? No. It's the same, good old Turkey. Okay? So should we expect that this effect is going to be permanent? Now that the government decided to buy a bit more potatoes, forever we'll be producing more potatoes. Will this happen? You should be able to see that it won't, right? What will happen? Prices will increase, that's all. Okay? The government wants more potatoes, prices will increase, nothing will happen to the quantity. In the end, okay? That's this. It says, look, your short-run aggregate supply is upward sloping. Government spending increases. You started from this point. Let's call this equilibrium 1. Okay? Then your production increased, and now you're at equilibrium 2. But eventually, you're going to end up here. Okay? Eventually, quantity will not change. It's just going to be prices. All right? Now let's talk about the mechanism that's going to bring this about. But now is a good time for you to just sit down for a second and think about this. Okay? We haven't done much, right? This board looks nothing like last week's board. Okay? But conceptually, these aren't very easy things to think of. So take a moment to think about these. Why is aggregate supply upward sloping in the short run? Why is aggregate supply vertical in the long run? Okay? What this has to do with the labor markets. And then we're going to get to the fun part. All right, the fun part. We're going to say, now that we understand this aggregate supply, aggregate demand business, okay, let's draw an aggregate supply, aggregate demand graph. This is our equilibrium point. Okay? We know exactly where this aggregate demand comes from, right? We understand the aggregate expenditure, how expenditure depends on prices, right? How at each price level there's a different equilibrium point, how the aggregate demand curve is a collection of those equilibrium points, right? And then aggregate supply tells us, and this is the price where producers actually are willing to produce that much. That's why that's the equilibrium point. Here's the question. Are we happy with this equilibrium? Equilibrium in itself isn't something to be proud of. Okay? The question is the following. What is the benchmark? What are we judging this against? How do we decide whether an equilibrium is a good equilibrium, bad equilibrium, sucky equilibrium, whatever? How do we decide this? This is where the concept of potential GDP comes into play. Can someone remind me what potential GDP is? This is the definition I prefer. Okay? Capacity is also okay, but this is the definition that is in proper plain English. That shows that you understand, okay? Because what is capacity? Right? That's why this is the better definition. And you were saying what?
The goods and services, when we produce when we use our resources, no.
She says, potential GDP is the GDP that we produce, that is the goods and services we produce, when we use our factors of production normally. Okay? Is this equilibrium GDP at potential? Who knows? Could be, but maybe not. Okay? Let's say it isn't. Let's say this is your potential GDP. Could this be? Yes. What does this tell us? Are we producing more than the potential or less than the potential? Very good, very good. There's a name for this. What are we experiencing? It's a recession. That's what a recession is. Okay? In fact, this is called a recessionary gap. Okay? We are saying, we, the economists, are saying, this economy, the model economy, sucks because these guys are not producing as much as they normally can. They are not efficiently using their resources. They are producing less than they should normally produce. Okay? How could that happen? Clearly, this is a bad time. Okay? Here is a particular question we need to ask. Are we using our labor efficiently? What do we know about unemployment here? In particular, what do we know about cyclical unemployment? Are we going to have cyclical unemployment?
Yes.
How do we know?
Because aggregate demand is low.
Maybe aggregate supply is too high. I mean, but the point here is, isn't your, I'm not asking you the cause, right? I'm not asking you why are we here. I'm saying there is going to be cyclical unemployment. How do we know there's going to be cyclical unemployment? Okay, so you're telling me one of the reasons why you would be in this situation, which is correct. This would happen when aggregate demand is too low. Okay? It's a different question whether aggregate demand can be too low, but if it is, yep, you're going to end up in a situation like this. The question I'm asking is slightly different. We all agree that, in a time of recession, there's going to be higher unemployment and there's going to be cyclical unemployment. But agreeing is one thing, understanding why it is an entirely different matter. Okay? So now I want you to understand. Why is it that I am sure when I'm in a recession, unemployment is going to be higher? This is a matter of definitions. Okay? Remind me the definition of potential GDP.
The goods and services that we produce when we use our resources normally.
When we use the GDP we produce, when we use the factors of production normally, are we above or below the potential? We're below the potential. So what does it tell us about our usage of our factors of production? Are we using the factor of production normally or less than that? What are our factors of production? Labor. Are we using our labor normally or less than normal? There is a name for this. Unemployment. Thank you. Okay? Do you now see how I'm sure there's going to be cyclical unemployment here? It's by the definition of potential GDP. Potential GDP is where you have no cyclical unemployment. If you're producing less than that, you're using less labor to produce. Clearly you have unemployment. So let's draw the labor market. Wage, labor demand, labor supply. Right? This is your labor demand. This is your labor supply. Let's ask. We could be here, let's say wage 1. We could be here, let's say wage 2. Or we could be here, let's say wage 3. If I am at this point, at this equilibrium, what is the wage? At wage 1, do I have unemployment? Here, do I have unemployment? Okay, so can the wage be wage 1? The question is, if I have cyclical unemployment, can the labor market be in equilibrium? No. Okay? What is the wage then? Wage 3. Let's think of this. At wage 3, how much do you want to work? Let's have it. My favorite points here. Let's say A, B, C, D, and E. At wage 3, how much do you want to work? A. How much do you actually work? Are you working too much or too little? I thought we had unemployment here. So are we at wage 3? Very good. You're getting somewhere. Let's see. Not too many alternatives left. What is the wage here? We ruled out wage 1. We said at wage 2, we said at wage 3, You're not going to have unemployment. You're going to actually have overemployment, if that's even a word. Okay? You're working more than you want to work. That isn't unemployment. Okay? So at what wage are we? Wage 2. Very good. Now that we eliminated the other two, it's rather clear that we have to be here. At wage 2, how much do you want to work? At which point do you want to be? E. How much do you actually work? D. What is this distance? Unemployment. Right? This is how much you want to supply. These are the people who say, I want to work at this wage. These are the people who can work. These are the people who want to work but cannot find a job. We call them unemployed. Okay? So perversely, this model says, at times of recession, is the wage too high or too low? The wage is too high, okay? You're finding this difficult because this sounds very counterintuitive, right? Recessions are supposed to be times of, bad things, including low wages, unemployment, blah, blah. But now you understand, look, we're going to come to analysis that's going to make you happier here, okay? But for the moment, you have to understand this. In a market, say in the market for my favorite good, potatoes, okay? When is excess supply? When do we see excess supply? When the price is too high or when the price is too low? When the price is too high. Unemployment in this world is excess supply of labor. When are you going to see unemployment? When the price is too high, that is the wage is too high, or when the wage is too low? Okay? It's the same thing, it's the same idea. Labor isn't potato, but a market is a market. There's going to be excess supply when the price is too high. Okay? So this says you're in a recession. Okay? This is not a because statement, but these work at the same time. At the same time, if you're in a recession, it has to be the case that the real wage is too high so that not all of the people who want to work are working. Therefore, you're producing less than, your equilibrium GDP is less than your potential GDP. Okay? Is this fitting together? This is an internally consistent story. Now, we want to ask, well, are we going to be here all the time? Are we stuck here? Okay? Will the wage be here all the time? This is once again the question of, well, a market is a market. Okay? Do we expect to see wages stay the same, increase or decrease? Now that you've got used to this hat of the business owner, you want to see the decrease. Okay? Will you actually see a decrease? Do you think that in this market wages will decrease? Yes. Why? I'm saying, look, say I'm here. I want to work. I can't find a job. This is the wage. Am I going to say I'm willing to work for a little lower wage? Just hire me? This is how the market idea works, okay? Several things are problematic here, okay? One of them is it isn't very clear that the labor market in particular works this way, right? Because you extremely rarely see wages decreasing. People just don't accept wage cuts, okay? That's a very rare event. But this is the way it's supposed to work, okay? This is why this is a model and not the reality itself. But we're going to talk about variance of this, okay? We're going to ask, first let's ask the following question. Let's say I come out and say, look, there is no way on earth I'm going to accept a wage cut. There's no way on earth wage is going to fall below wage 2. Okay? Will this gap ever close on its own? Will unemployment ever decrease? Unless something else changes, right? Unemployment won't change. Okay? Then I'm going to be stuck in here. So this is something useful to keep in mind. right? We're going to talk about the analysis, and then we're going to ask, but does this have to be the case? What else can we do? Next, let's ask, okay, let's think that this market works in the way markets are supposed to work. That is, now that there's an excess supply, the price falls, the wage falls, okay? When the wage falls, is unemployment decreasing? Is employment increasing? Yes. How do I know? Well, see, I'm tracking this point. Labor demand is increasing as wage falls, okay? Am I working more? Yes. What is happening here? What shifts? Okay, equilibrium points cannot jump on its own, right? One of these curves must be moving around. Oh, let me ask this first. Is the potential changing? No, we have still the same labor force, same number of people who want to work, same capital. The potential is the same, okay? Is aggregate demand changing? No. Aggregate demand is not changing, okay? Why is that? Aggregate demand has to do with, consumption, government spending, investment, right? Those things aren't changing. What is changing? Not much is left, but can you see why aggregate supply is changing? What is happening to the wages? Wages are decreasing. What is happening to profits? What is happening to real profits? Real profits are increasing. If I keep this price level the same, okay, prices aren't changing, but the wages are falling. Is this guy very happy? He's selling the monte at the same price, but now he's paying me a lower wage. When wages are falling, all wages are falling. My wage is also falling, okay? Is his real profits going up? Yes. Do you want to increase production? Yes. That bit you really got, right? When real profits increase, he wants to produce more. Am I moving on this aggregate supply curve? No. Graphing 101. You move along the curve only when something on the axis changes. Did the price change? No, only the weight changed. So what is going to happen? You're going to say, at each price, now I want to produce more. That means your aggregate supply curve has shifted. Now am I at a long-run equilibrium? When I'm at this point, where am I in the labor market? C, okay? Labor market is in equilibrium. Will the weight change? No. The goods market is in long-run equilibrium. Am I done? Yes, okay? So the key point here is that this says, look, if you're in a recession, perhaps you don't have to do anything. Just wait. Eventually, the labor market will clear, and the economy will always come to an equilibrium at the potential. Do we like this? We'd like to see this happen, right? This is, in some sense, this is one of the promises of capitalism, right? Eventually, we're going to come to the efficient point. Eventually, the wage will be the quote-unquote correct wage. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, when there was this huge recession and incredibly high unemployment, okay, after waiting for years and years and years and years for this to happen, right, after thinking that in the long run, the economy will come to an equilibrium, Lord Keynes said, this is famous, in the long run, we're all dead. The idea being, okay, we understand the mechanism, but just how long is this long run? How much do we have to wait for this to happen? Do we know? We don't. Are we happy to wait, I don't know, 10 years? How would it feel to be unemployed for 10 years? Okay, now let me ask again. Are we willing to wait for 10 years? No. What is the problem here? The problem here is that the mechanism that we've designed tells us that the economy should eventually, in the long run, right, come to the efficient equilibrium at the potential. It just doesn't tell us when the long run is. How long do you have to wait until all prices and all quantities adjust? Okay? What if long run is 3 years? Are we willing to wait? How would you like to be unemployed for 3 years? Better than 10 years. That I agree with. But you're not going to tell me that you'd be happy, right? Last week there was this long article in the New York Times about how this crisis has produced long-term unemployed people, where long-term was defined as unemployed for more than 6 months. Okay? But you should be able to understand this. For you guys, you've never been in the labor market, most of you, right? You've never been unemployed, you never have the sense, right? But you have a life, children, a child, whatever, a household to run, and then suddenly you're unemployed. How long can you last? Unemployment is the worst thing that could happen. I guess after death. So, do we like to be in this gap? No, this is the easy bit, okay? The next question then is, can we do something about this? Do we have to just sit here and wait? Okay? Or can the government do something to close this gap faster? What? What could the government do? Can the government move aggregate supply? This is one of the most important things you're going to learn, okay? We don't have control over aggregate supply. If we did, life would be extremely easy. Just push it out. Prices fall, quantities increase. What else do you want? Okay? Think about this. On Wednesday, we're going to get to the fun part of policy analysis. See you guys.